Hi everybody. So we're going to talk again about privacy, and I need to click. So who am I? So I'm not Aaron McSween, which was the person that was supposed to come do the presentation. Unfortunately, he's home with the flu, and so I'm Ludovic Dubost. So Aaron McSween is a full-time privacy engineer. I define myself more as an open source activist. Aaron is our researcher at XWiki SAS. I'm his boss. And so Aaron is a full-time CryptPad developer and slash product manager slash CTO, depending. So he likes to say it depending how important he wants to present himself. So I'm more involved in the CryptPad communication. So I get involved in what CryptPad actually does, how we communicate about it, do marketing, also how we finance it. Because I'm the CEO of XWiki, so we're 40 people at XWiki SAS that is getting its revenue most from building XWiki, and we're doing full-time open source. And so the challenge with open source is also how you get to pay for it and how to get people to pay for it. I'm also an occasional CryptPad contributor. So in CryptPad, the Kanban was my work, actually. I'm very proud of it. Actually, to try to make a bit the subject, I want to talk a little bit about FLOSS. So we all here users or creators of FLOSS software. And actually, when you look at FLOSS and you try to understand why do you do FLOSS, actually there's one reason, which is ethical reasons. So we do FLOSS, or we get involved in FLOSS because it's empowering users. It's because it allows the software to be not only for the people that can pay for it, and it's empowering the clients and have no lock-in. Now, we also have business reasons. There is also interesting business reasons why companies or people do FLOSS, is that it gives an edge over proprietary software. It gets more help from other people, so you get contributions, so it actually reduces the cost of building it or making it known. And openness is actually a feature also in what we do. So you'll see a bit why we're coming there, why we're talking about this. That if you look at the issue of privacy on the internet today, which is more and more a big problem. So Joss explained before why privacy is important. And if we're starting to talk more about privacy, it's because actually privacy is in danger. And the reason why is privacy in danger is because basically we're living in surveillance capitalism. So on one side there is state surveillance, but that's actually one part of the issue around privacy, that the states are trying to know more and more about what we do. And there's a lot of debate. In some cases we could say, I don't care, I trust my state, so it's okay. In some other cases, it creates serious democratic problems. But there is also a problem of surveillance in the business world, in the normal world, in a sense that basically most of the internet's business is actually surveillance, is actually based on advertisement that are based on what we do on the internet. And actually, when we think about it, for the people that are as old as I am, we felt like advertising on TV. It's a pain. We get advertising all the time, and we get every hour advertisement so that we can watch the TV for free. But when we think about it, on the internet it's worse. We get advertisement everywhere, while we're actually reading the stuff we read on the internet, and this advertisement is based on methods that are way worse than what we got on TV 20 years ago. On TV, they study to try to know who is watching the show. Is it women? Is it guys? And we're going to show advertisement based on that. But on the internet, they're actually showing advertisement based on who you are, the individual that is in front of it. And they're trying to know more and more, because it makes more money, exactly who you are. But everything. They want to know everything so that they can make the most money out of it. And nobody's stopping them, except GDPR, which is doing some work today. Now the thing is it evil actually? Is it evil that we are in this world? Well, the thing is, it's just market. A lot of what my friend Tristan Ito, who works at Quant and is doing a lot of talks about privacy, he says basically Google was supposed to be nice. We're not evil. But the tracking they were doing was not that high. But Facebook came in and doing more and more individual user tracking about who you are, what you do, etc. They ended up being outsmarted in terms of competition and making money. And they end up doing the same thing. So it's actually the market, the capitalism market, is pushing all these companies to go further and further. So what we're trying to say, Aaron and me, is that the reason is that we've ignored business concerns. We've ignored the business aspects of why the software is so. And in the end, we get only software on the internet that is paid by advertisement. And that's actually, and so we get a lot of stuff for free, but in the end, the thing is we forget that there needs to be a way to pay for it. And this way today is advertisement, it's targeted advertisement, this creating this privacy problem. So, and what we're trying to do at CryptPad is, okay, is it possible actually to operate as a need-to-know basis? Is it possible to say, well, try to do software that doesn't look at everything you do. So that's not operating on this model of working with advertisement. And when we look at this, well, business, technical. So business, and so what we're looking at, so what is the software we're proposing? So we need to look at what type of product we're proposing. So why do we have a software that's actually interesting? The second thing is, okay, what data are we capturing for people? And then, okay, what are the risks? The business risks and the technical risks. So if we don't collect the data, can we actually offer that product for free? So if we're not getting ways to make money off the data, well, how do we actually provide that software for free? And what are the consequences if the data is leaked? So when we look at this, so we do a cost-benefit analysis. So how difficult is it to implement something that's fully private? Is it actually technically possible to build something that's totally private? And how would it work? And will people actually be happy with it? So, well, that's what we're trying to do with CryptPad. So we're trying not only to solve the technical problem of privacy, can we actually make a software that allows to protect users' privacy, but we're also trying to solve the business issue around it. So this is important. This is why this talk is not only about a technical solution around CryptPad, it's also about whether how can we as a community, or can we as users do so that we get software that is protecting our privacy. And so what is CryptPad? So our pitch is, it's like Etherpad, but it's encrypted. So who knows Etherpad here? Okay, good, a lot of people. Who knows CryptPad, actually? A few, okay. So, well, Etherpad, or like, you could also say like Google Docs, type at the same time, but everything's encrypted. So that's actually interesting, is it's not easy to do. So it's already not easy to do a software where people are typing at the same time. So the story of CryptPad actually is because we're trying to do that for XWiki. So for the XWiki software, we needed real-time editing, and we worked with researchers to do that. That's the original story of CryptPad. So it's already not easy to have people typing at the same time. Well, it's even harder when you say, okay, let's make so that the server doesn't know what we're doing. And so this is what it is. So to mention one thing is, in the open source world, we use licenses to define how data is made public. Well, in the world of CryptPad and software for security, we're actually using cryptography to define how data can be used in private. So, and this is a point where we differ a bit with CryptPad with Nextcloud. Nextcloud is proposing as a solution for privacy decentralization. So we at the CryptPad, we say, yeah, decentralization is interesting, it's good, but actually we need to go one step further. If you put your server on a cloud service, you need to trust that cloud service that they're not going to look at your data. And so we believe that if we want to really be sure that our data is safe, we need to use cryptography. Cryptography is key. If we want privacy, we need to go the whole way to encrypting the data. And so we're using cryptography to define how the data can be used. So in the end, what is CryptPad? And I'll make a demo. So it's actually much more than Etherpad because it's a full range of collaborative tools. It goes from rich text, the rich text editor that goes further than what you get in Etherpad. It's a full CK editor that you have in CryptPad, but it's also a pad where you can do markdown or syntax highlighting of code. You can do slideshows. This is actually a CryptPad document stored on CryptPad FR. You can store encrypted files, which themselves can be used in rich text or in presentations. So we have images in this presentation. They're stored as individually encrypted files in the CryptPad drive. We have a CryptPad drive. Inside that CryptPad drive, we can do shared folders. So you can make a folder in your drive that will be shared with other people. We have whiteboards, polls. We have Kanban. We have a messaging between people. And we're working on Office. We just released 2 days ago spreadsheets inside CryptPad, and I'll show that. In the end, what we're trying to provide is strategies and technologies that ensure privacy, which can effectively generalize across a wide variety of application domains. So we're not trying to just encrypt files or secure files. We're trying to allow to build applications that are secure by design and private by design, so that use encryption all the way. And that's what is in the CryptPad technology. Inside CryptPad, there are pretty advanced technology to secure documents that are modified in real time by multiple people. And so potentially, it can go very far in terms of what we can build on top of it. However, there's a lot of work because when you work privacy by design, you kind of have to rebuild everything from there. So basically, you cannot just adapt other software to become private by design. You have to actually have it in the core of the system that encryption is everywhere because it changes fundamentally. This is why for us, XWiki CryptPad, it's the same company, but with two different software, they cannot really work together. So let me demo a bit. Oops. So the best way to demo is to have two screens. So here, first thing is a drive. So I have a drive with folders. So this is my personal drive with a lot of folders. We can have file there. So I'll take a spreadsheet document. I'll take it on this side too. A spreadsheet document here. Actually, it's a bit too zoomed, yeah. Oops, it's not very well zoomed. And so here I can do, actually 600. Yeah, you can see. So I changed the number here. My graph was changed in my spreadsheet. In real time, it was sent to the other client. So actually, the way it works is every time we do something in a pad, there is a patch that is created, encrypted on the client side. The key never leaves the browser. The patch that is encrypted is sent to the CryptPad storage. The storage will send it to all the other users that are part of the session, and then the patch will be applied on the other client. And the CryptPad algorithm will manage conflicts. If there is changes at the same time from both users, there's a way to manage that in the algorithm. So this is our latest spreadsheet document. Then we can show here a document. If people have a browser, they can even join with that URL, is.gd CryptPad FOSDEM if they want. So you can have an image here. So for example, I can change the size of my image. It will change on the other side. I can type here. It will go on the other side. So you can see the different features we have here. So we have the text, code, presentation, polls, Kanban, etc. So for example, if I create a Kanban document, it takes a little second to create it, and then I can give the URL here to the other users, up and up, and I can start editing the document like that. So a Kanban document is actually a JSON file. So every time we make a change here, it changes a JSON model. That is, the JSON model is synchronized over the CryptPad system, and we can then apply it on the other side. So CryptPad is actually quite extensible. New document types can be created. The only thing that is needed is JavaScript application. So CryptPad can only work with JavaScript modules. You need something that works only on JavaScript. For example, there are JavaScript libraries that can edit mind maps. We can integrate mind maps in CryptPad. We want to integrate Kanban. We've used the JavaScript library. Oh, it would have been nice to use WeCan, which is a very well-known, actually well-known open source Kanban system. The problem is everything is based on the server, so you can't do it. So basically, the requirement for integrating something in CryptPad is that it needs to be built client-side. It needs to have no server component. Basically, the server is only doing storage. Is only storing encrypted data. I'm finishing up. Get back to the slides. So now, what is the business aspect of CryptPad? So if we don't sell the data, there's the question, how do we actually make the software? So we could sell it. Well, the thing is, we want to do open source at XWiki and at CryptPad. And the other thing is that if we believe that if you really want to do security software that is secured, you need to have it auditable. So it needs to be shown to the world that the world can verify. There's a few things we haven't done in CryptPad. So CryptPad FR is a service run by us. Everything on our server is encrypted. The thing is, how do you actually verify that it's true? How do you actually, as a user, verify that we're not injecting code in the JavaScript we're sending from CryptPad FR that would read the data on the client side and then send it to us? So the problem is that there's a few more steps to get to full privacy. So right now, if you want very good privacy, you take the code of CryptPad from GitHub, you install it on your own server, you know what you're running, and you know that the data on that server is encrypted. Even if somebody is stealing that database, nothing he can do with it because the keys are on your client. You need to secure your client. So there's a few things that, so we believe that secure software needs to be open source. And now the thing is, if it's open source, how do we sell it? We don't read the data. We don't sell advertisement on the data. So how do we do to sell it? So we're doing paying subscriptions. So on CryptPad FR, you can actually pay for an account that goes over 50 megs. We can sell enterprise support. We haven't started to do that. We can do research projects. We're doing that. We're candidating. And so CryptPad is actually born out of a research project that is financed by France. And we're looking at European fundings to continue to fund that. And then there is crowdfunding. So we actually have an open collective where you can chip in. And it's actually important for us. So right now, we believe that in the next year, we're going to mostly finance CryptPad through the research projects. And we also have people that are buying subscriptions because they actually go over the 50 megs, and that CryptPad FR is an interesting service. Now, the thing is, if we really want to have enough money to pay for the actual complexity of everything that needs to be built, like if we want to do everything that Google does on the Google Apps Suite, there's a huge amount of work. And so before we can fund this with paying subscription, we will have to have way more users than we have today. And so we believe that we're going to finance this with research projects short term. But actually, crowdfunding and paid subscriptions are really important to us because they allow us to show to the people that are funding the research project that there's actually people interested in the software, and that I believe that it's important that we get this type of software working. So what I want to point out, and this goes back to the business aspect of software and privacy, well, if we don't want a world where everything is paid by advertisement and made with systems like Facebook, well, we need to think about paying our software. Last slide, you can try out what we do, and so try it out on Crip.fr, and you can also take the code from GitHub. This is our stats to show that there's a lot of people visiting what we do. And here is our contacts if you want to talk to us.
Thank you very much. We have 5 minutes for questions.